It's Living Young Country Girl, and I'm sorry I've been a little MIA last week. We just had a bunch of stuff going on, and life was happening, and things didn't quite go as planned. So I didn't get any of the videos recorded, and I had to just deal with it. So, but I am back. I'm trying to catch up on get some videos recorded, so I have some ready to go, but it just takes a little time to kind of catch up after things kind of go out of whack. But that is also one of the great things about homeschooling is you don't have to be everything. When things go out of whack, you can kind of adjust accordingly. So today's video, I've seen a bunch of these and I was like, I want to get in on this. And they are 10 things that we don't do as homeschoolers. So like I said, I've seen these going around a lot lately and I thought that they just were fun. I have been enjoying watching them, so I thought I'd share some of mine. Now, some of the things that we don't do have been in other videos, and some of them I think are probably going to drive people crazy because it depends if you're a type A or B personality. So, but I want to get started with ours. So our number one thing is we don't start our day early. We don't start school in the morning. We start our school actually after lunch. And I know that sounds completely crazy because we start it around 1 in the afternoon, which makes probably no sense to most people because most people like to get bright and early and get a good start. But just with the way our schedule works and stuff, mornings don't work for us. So we actually start our homeschool day after lunch. And it works for us. That's how it works. And really, guys, like we can be done in 2 tops 3 hours. And the crazy thing is when we finish up our school, especially if they do really work hard and they get at it and they're done in 2 hours, that still gets us done like at 3 o'clock, which most of the kids in our area don't even get off the bus till closer to 4. So even if it takes us our longest time, if they want to have play dates or do something with a friend that lives kind of local, they're just coming home from school. So that's kind of been the way it's worked for us. There are days where I know if we're going to have a busy afternoon, like the second half, is going to be busy and we just can't do it, then we will do some of our lessons in the morning. But generally speaking, we start our lessons. We do not start them early in the morning. So that being said, that kind of leads to number 2, which is we don't lesson plan in the sense of like on Monday, we're doing lesson this, on Tuesday, we're doing lesson this. And I've tried that for those first, 6 years of homeschooling, and I just didn't stick to them. So I thought, why am I wasting my time? Why am I buying planners if I'm not sticking to them? I do have, let me pull this real quick. I do have like a personal planner, and I did put on here like in particular with our math, we were falling a little behind. And so I put on my book what lesson we should be on. But I also know, like, I counted at the beginning of the year how many lessons we had and where we kind of needed to be at the middle of the school year, and kind of estimated where like our school year, would be, where we should be when we kind of went on break at Christmas. So that kind of makes it kind of where I can judge from there, and I can say, okay, well, if we want to get out when everybody else is getting out, which kind of leads me to another one, is we don't actually have an end date for our school. I loosely say, okay, we're going to start. I usually have a start date. So I'm going to say we're going to start on this day. And then I loosely have an end date. So I kind of have an idea of when we're going to start and finish. But because life happens in the middle, it doesn't always work that way. I do try to finish up at the same time that our local schools are finishing up. But if we are behind because of whatever reasons, then we just keep working. So there really isn't an end date. And I tell my kids that if you're not caught up by the time everybody else goes on summer break, then you're not going on summer break. And when they're all asking to go and do things, your answer is going to be no. So they kind of know that that's how it's going to work. And we go from there. The other thing is, leads me to another one, is we don't do every lesson in our book. A lot of times, if you notice, when kids go back to school, the first thing that happens is they have a review of the year before. And so for those first few months, you're reviewing what you learned last year. And then the middle months, you kind of learn something new. And then the last few months, you review again. And so it kind of is broke up into these three different, sections. And a lot of times when we get to the end of the books and stuff, I will allow them to skip ahead to a quiz. And as long as they get at least a 95 or better, then I will allow them to skip some lessons. But if they're not passing it, then they're going to have to go back and do it. So that's something else, is we don't actually do every lesson, and I do not lesson plan. So I kind of covered three in that. I don't lesson plan, we don't do every lesson, and we don't have an end date. So that was actually 4 things that we don't do, along with not starting early. Another one is we don't have a set daily schedule. And by that, I mean, like, we always have to do math. We always have to do handwriting. We always have to do reading. And we try to do some kind of language arts. If we don't finish a full lesson in language arts, as long as they've done reading and handwriting, I'm okay with that, because if you are reading and you are writing, you are learning. So if you're not, like, I can judge how they're doing in their language arts by and you gotta deal with this, by what they what they've written. Okay, so that makes a big difference. And in their handwriting curriculum, we use the Good and the Beautiful one. It has you write sentences. And one of the things too is, like, I'll look at my daughter's posts that she posts on social media, and I'll be like, girl, run on sentence, no capitalization, no punctuation. You need to do more. You know what I mean? So I actually judge her on that kind of stuff, or grade her on those things too. So it really, to me, if you read, you're going to learn how to write in a great way, as long as you're reading. You know what I mean? That's going to kind of transfer over. But we do want them to actually know how to write as well. Honestly, guys, though, some of the stuff that we learn in our these language arts, I'm like, your basics, your adverbs, your verbs, your adjectives, your prepositions. But then there's these crazy ones that I don't remember. And my friend who teaches junior high English, I was asking her, what was it, 2 years ago, about my daughter. So we were learning about this and this, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't even remember what those were. So I was trying to look them up to remember them. And she's like, I don't even remember what those are. And she's an English teacher. So some of the stuff that you learn just really isn't all that important unless you're planning on being a teacher. And even then you have a manual. So I don't know, some of it just doesn't really click with me. Diagramming sentences, I'm not a big fan of that. So if there's lessons like that, a lot of times we will kind of just skip them and do something else. But I am very much about reading, writing, and math are very important to me. So those 3 things, along with we haven't done it in a while, and we need to get back into starting our day with a Bible study, which we haven't done, and it makes such a huge difference. But those 3 things we kind of do. But other than that, I don't have you're going to do math from this time to this time and this time to this time. If they want to take their time, and I've learned that if it's a subject that requires my help, we will do those first. If it's an independent study one, those are done at the end, because they can take all the time they want, because the only time that they're wasting is their own time to play. So any subjects that require me to help them is done that way. And then with their math, they will go through the whole lesson, and at the end of the lesson, if they came across problems that they didn't understand, they write those numbers down, and then they call me over and I help them with that specific one. Because otherwise I found that they would call me over, and then I'd go walk away, and then they call me back, and then I would walk away, and I was just boom, 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 back and forth. And so I was like, you guys need to write down the questions. You can write it on the dry erase, whatever you need to do. Write down your questions that you didn't know how to do. And when you're done with your lesson, you call me over and we work through all of those together. And sometimes that means going back and watching the lesson it was originally taught in, because we use teaching textbooks, which is absolutely phenomenal. So if I don't know how to do it, it tells you what lesson it was actually in. And so that's really helpful. So I can go back and watch it. So that's kind of another one. We don't have a set schedule for when this has to be done. It just is done. On days where we have something going on, that's where, I say, we'll do it in the morning. Or if they don't finish, they know when we come home they'll have to do it. Or the following morning they'll have to do it. That normally would be their free time. And then it's homework. Because basically they would do homework in the morning, because our days are flipped. crazy schedule. So that's another one. We also don't sit at a desk normally. Sometimes my kids will sit at a desk, but a lot of times they've kind of gotten to the age where they like to go into their room and sit at their desks in their room and work there. So I'm totally fine with that. Again, like if they have problems, they need to mark them down and then I'll come in there. But that's another reason where like if I'm sitting here and at my desk, then I don't want to be running back and forth. So they have to write them down. But I am totally fine with wherever they want to do it. If you saw our homeschool room tour, we don't actually, the other one was we don't have a dedicated homeschool room. This area that I'm sitting in is a little 5x7. Like I said, if you've seen the homeschool room tour, it's like a little 5x11, I think. I don't know, 5x7 room. It's really narrow and just this little spot. I don't even know. I really don't know what it would have been used for. Like, I don't know why they made this space, but it works great for what we need it to work for, but it is small and it is cramped because I have my business that I work from right here at my desk. And then we do have a dry erase board, and we have some bookshelves and we have a couch. So we've made, by couch, I mean, it's like loosely, I call it a couch, but it's a nice spot for them to sit if they want to read a book. And then we do have another desk here, but it's not necessarily like a huge schoolroom. For a lot of times when I've had people that have seen my videos and then when they actually come to my house, they're just like, wow, I had no idea it was that small. It looks so much bigger and so much like I thought it was like a room. And I'm like, no, it's like our closet in our master bedroom is bigger than our schoolroom. That tells you something. So I've really tried to make the most out of the space. It's also right off our front door, so everybody can see it. So trying to keep it nice and neat is also a kind of a struggle. But, you know, you do what you got to do. Some people don't even have this much space, and they do it in their schoolrooms. Oh, my goodness.
This looks like a hand, so I like to put it in closets and freak people out.
She found this outside, and it does. It looks like a little hand, and so she's been using it to
Or I go tapping on the windows.
Okay, so that's one of the other things. We don't have a dedicated like huge schoolroom, which I would love to have a huge schoolroom / playroom / office area that we could have someday. But if it's not in the cards, I'm thankful for what we got. And because our kids are getting older and they can kind of move away, it makes a big difference. And some of the things that I have up on our boards and stuff as they're getting older, we don't need. So we'll be able to kind of like transition down some of the cork boards and some of those things. So that will be nice. And like we have the big letters up top and stuff, but it's like every space of wall space is used right now to put stuff. And it'll be nice to kind of tone that down as they get bigger. They don't need all that. We don't take spring, fall break. We don't take Christmas break. We don't take those traditional breaks in the sense. You heard me talking about like at Christmas break, we should be at a certain spot. We do take off at Christmas. We take off basically if there's something going on, like we have an event that we want to go to, we will take off. So I don't sit there and just be like, we're taking 2 weeks off. And if we have nothing going on, you're sitting around the house doing nothing. No, we do school every day unless there's something planned. And we do plan a lot at Christmas. So a lot of evenings we'll be gone and we'll go ice skating or we'll go do Christmas lights or we'll go somewhere and, you know, make Christmas cookies or do stuff like that, which that's fine. If we have something going on, an activity going on, then we do it. But if we don't, then it's a school day. So that's kind of how we work with Christmas break. Now, that being said, we always take a week off at the 1st of December. That first week in December, we always take off and go to Disneyland. So this year we did it in October, so it was a little bit different. And that was only because we went to Tokyo Disney instead of just Disneyland. But normally it's that first week in December, we take off and we go to Disneyland. So that's our Christmas break. It's not at Christmas. It's like that first week in December, right? The week after Thanksgiving. And then we will work, like I said, throughout those days. If we have nothing planned, we still do school. Because we have weeks during the middle of the school year that things just go crazy and we miss it. The other time we always take off is between my kids' birthdays. We take off the month between my kids' birthdays. We take off and we go to Disneyland. So those are like the 2 Disney trips that we try to do every single year. And it is kind of spring break-ish. around that time, but it's not spring break because we don't want to be there when everybody else is there. So we do take off those two. And then, like I said, if there's something going on that we want to do, if it's somebody's birthday, if, whatever it is, life happens. Like last week we had both of the kids' computers crashed on us. So we literally had my computer and that was it to do everybody's schoolwork on and my work. And that's part of the reason I didn't get any of my YouTube stuff up, because they were working here on my computer. So, those things happen. So that's where we just do school. If we don't have anything going on, we're going to do school. And that generally, like I said, because it kind of evens itself out, we don't have set dates that we take off other than those 2 breaks for Christmas and for their birthday, going to Disneyland. And if something else comes up, then we're able to go. But that's the great thing about it. We don't, plan a whole bunch off. I don't set, a certain time off. It's just, if something comes up, then I feel we can do it. The last one is, and this one was a really hard one for those first couple of years of homeschooling, is we do not compare. And like I said, it still can be hard. I watch so many of these amazing homeschool moms out there, and they show these day in the lives and everything looks so perfect. Everything's set up perfect. Their kids are behaving perfect. Their homeschool rooms are beautiful, and they're teaching the best curriculum, and they do these field trips and all of this stuff, and it just crafts and art and piano lessons and I'm like, it's so easy to get caught up in that and compare yourself and feel like a failure if you're not doing those things. But I have learned that we have our own things that we love and we enjoy. It's kind of weird because we don't do extracurricular activities. We don't do sports. We don't do music. We don't do any of those things. And it may seem like our kids never get to do anything, but we are on the go so much that it's crazy. Because even though we live in a small town, there are activities happening all the time. My daughter is constantly tagging me on things she wants to do that pop up in her Facebook feed, for events happening around town. Whether it's like a big pool party at the, community pool, or whether it's a art thing going on, or whatever it is, a Lego class at the library, whatever it may be, like they go and do those things, but we're not like set to any co-op. We're not set to a weekly karate. We're not set to, soccer practice. We're not set to any of that stuff. They have horses, they used to do lessons on them. They don't do them anymore. So it's just kind of like we're busy, and we do a lot with our church and things like that. So it keeps us busy. So for us, like I had to not compare myself and the way we do homeschool to other people. Like I said, we don't start early, and that's a hard one because so many people are like, we get up, we do Bible, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this, and we spend 20 minutes doing this and da da da. And I was like, okay, that's how I got to do it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I homeschool because I want the flexibility. It's just one of the many reasons. And if I'm trying to do it just like they're doing it, which is a lot like school is, then why don't I just send my kids to school? I mean, there's so many other reasons we homeschool, but that is just something that we've learned, is not to compare ourselves to other homeschool families, because as my daughter says, you do you, boo, and what works for you is going to be the best thing. So those are my 10 things that we don't do as homeschoolers. Sorry, this video went on for a long time, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would love to do a Q&A with you guys about homeschool. If you guys are interested in that, ask me your questions down below, and I will try to answer them as best as I can, and we'll try to do a Q&A with that, and just, share a little bit more about homeschooling if you guys are interested in it. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a beautiful, blessed day. We'll see you guys all again real soon. Bye.
Jesus, wake me from my sleep. Father, come, breathe breath in me. I'm in the shadow of your wings, overcome by everything.